In the heart of our great nation, where the strength of our communities is built upon the foundation of strong and loving families, an urgent crisis is unfolding. Child Protective Services, CPS, an institution designed to safeguard our most vulnerable, has in many cases betrayed its noble mission. Too often, families are torn apart not by neglect or abuse, but by systemic failures and corruption. We can no longer stand idly by as these injustices continue. We are here to give a voice to those who have been isolated, to shine a light on the corruption, and to rally our fellow citizens in this critical fight for justice. Every day, countless families are caught in a web of bureaucracy and abuse of power, their lives disrupted and their bonds shattered. Children, who should be nurtured and protected, are instead placed in situations that can be just as, if not more, harmful than the circumstances from which they were taken. Parents, often bewildered and powerless, face insurmountable odds as they fight to reunite with their children. This is not the America we believe in. We cannot allow these injustices to persist. Our mission is to educate, to inform, and to inspire action. We promise to bring you daily updates on CPS, exposing the truth and fighting for reform. We must remember that the future of our nation depends on the strength and unity of our families. By standing together, we can hold CPS accountable and ensure that it fulfills its true purpose, protecting children and preserving families. This is a fight we must not and will not lose. We are committed to saving our families and securing a brighter future for all. The road ahead is challenging, but with your support, we can make a difference. Together, we will bring hope to those who have lost it and ensure that justice prevails. Let us unite with unwavering resolve and a sense of patriotic duty to safeguard the integrity of our families and the future of our nation.
Psalm 127:3. Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from Him. This suggests children are a precious gift from God to be valued and cared for.
In the United States, a child a minute is taken into DHS, CPS, and so on custody. The reality is their pics are already selected, you just don't know it. Being perfect no longer matters. It's what the adopting families are looking for.
Who is it stealing the children, you ask?
From caseworker to the White House, the buck stops at all levels, just not where it is supposed to be. The services your family needs, we the people have paid for to ensure your reunification. Title IV says, reunify at all costs. United, we stand means nothing to us when it comes to family values. Children are being ripped away from their families. Parents are reverting to addictive behaviors to cover the pain. The trauma caused by child removal is just being recognized, and the results are atrocious. Termination of parental rights is not healthy for anyone, just profitable for the people enforcing the lie.
It's time Washington listens to the cries of our children, the wails of their mothers, and the rage growing in the fathers. These are our children. Keep your damn hands off them. We are coming to act on the behalf of the children God gave us to protect, and you kidnapped.
with young, inexperienced caseworkers and flooded with bribes, high-priced bonuses for speedy adoption of terminated parents, and judges who don't practice law with the Constitution in their sights. This is a problem.
They take away the fathers, leaving just a mom and cubs. They know that with that out the way, the better things will go. Breaking apart the family, destroying the American way. Our legacy is built upon our families of yesterday. Fuck CPS, fuck what they doing. Fuck CPS, they need to be ruined. It's all about the division of family services. You hear that the division, that's what they about. They prey upon the family, the ones that the dad's been kicked out. We can't stand for this abomination. This is the song that needs to play across our once great nation, making us aware of the problem. Stealing our kids, it's not mama drama. Stand up for those who are lost to them. We need to fight for the family, making America great again. CPS comes along with the mission to protect. The only thing they are doing is cashing in those checks, paid for by the souls of the children. Diagnosed by a caseworker who is still a baby herself. They take away the fathers, leaving just the mom and cubs. They know that with that out the way, the better things will go. Breaking apart the family, destroying the American way. Our legacy is built upon our families of yesterday. Fuck CPS, fuck what they doing. Fuck CPS, they need to be ruined. It's all about the division of family services. You hear that the division, that's what they about. They prey upon the family, the ones that the dad's been kicked out. We can't stand for this abomination. This is the song that needs to play across our once great nation, making us aware of the problem. Stealing our kids, it's not mama drama. Stand up for those who are lost to them. We need to fight for the family, making America great again.
In the United States, CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the caseworker, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen every minute of a 24-hour day. They are being robbed of their innocence, their trust, their happiness. As parents, we are isolated and betrayed by a government we trust. States are balancing budgets on kids' lives. Only 12% of the kids taken will be reunified. Title IV funding is being riveted with fraud.
We need to stop CPS and abolish CPS.com is leading the way. Join us.
All right, what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It is CPS Punisher here with CPS Victims Hunting Justice. It is Wednesday night. I got the date right today, so that's great. We have a chat room that's right here. If you guys want to post your comments, looking to see if anybody, I know Chris is joining us tonight. If any of you guys wanted to join in, I will put the link up there. You guys are more than welcome to. I'm going to try to do something a little bit different tonight. I want to, they have, well, I'll just show you here in a second when we get going on this. Make sure that you share, like, all that good stuff. I don't know if any of you guys saw the Tiffany and Punisher show earlier. but I definitely recommend checking that out because there's a lot of good information. Tiffany knows her shit when it comes to the Constitution and so on. So I mean, and that's really good stuff, guys. It's very important that you know what your constitutional rights are. I never realized how important it was. I know I had rights and I know that they were violated and all that stuff. But man, if we let them keep trampling over our constitutional rights like this, they're gonna just run us right over as people. I mean, it's bad enough they've already taken our kids, right? So we need to use this stuff and fight back so that we can get our kids back. That's the thing. We got to find this back door. And if you've been TPR'd, don't give up. We're going to get our kids back and we're going to fight. I will fight every day for us. I will fight and dig my whatever. I will just do whatever we got to do to get our kids back because that's what my mission is find a reason, find the solution. It's very simple. I'm telling you right now, guys, it's very simple. We're overlooking the solution. We've overworked this thing 10 times over. It's very simple. We're going to get our kids back, guys. We just got to figure out the right way to do it. And as long as we stay together, we pack it up, we show that we're in unity, and we are going to be just fine. And we will get that. We will get our day. And it's going to be sooner than later, people. No doubt about that. Hey, you know, I have on the YouTube channel too. I did like 3 years ago. I did a podcast called "That's Our Daughter," and it was my story that I told in a podcast, true podcast form. They're all like 30-minute, an hour episodes or whatever, and it tells my story. You guys should check that out on YouTube. And then also, I have my book that I've just finished, and I'm almost done with the second one now. But it's Stay Calm CPS is coming, and it's a book that just talks about what you need to know when Child Protective Services is coming to your home, and hopefully it will do something for people to wake up and pay attention that have not been involved in Child Protective Services yet, and like they'll read this stuff and they'll have some information that they need that may make the difference between them having their children back or not. So like I said, I'll put the link up for that here in a little while. But let's see here. Oh yes, we have Chris back there, and I've lost you guys. Where's everybody? I lost you guys on the screen. Where is everybody? Where'd they go? All right, here we are. I think you're here. There we go. Where are you? All right. So with the no avail. Hey Debbie, how are you? Let's let Chris out of here. Chris is coming out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, you're out of the box. I don't know where you are, but you're out of it.
Yep.
There you are.
Yep.
Hey, how you doing?
Good evening, guys. I'm okay. I've been sick. The side of my face is all swollen. I don't know if it's my thyroid, and I don't know, but
yeah,
probably just stress.
Yeah, it could be stress. Stress will do it to you. Stress is crazy. Stress will. So that's one of the. I went and I just got certified in all of the emotion code and all the emotion code and body code. How to remove the blocks in your bodies and all that stuff caused by trauma and emotions. So I'm trying to tie that into the CPS thing, and I want to start doing that for victims of CPS trauma and see if we can get them better. Because you don't realize how much those blocks that they put into you, how much, or not they, but the blocks that go inside of your body, how much damage they do to your body. Like that's the main cause of disease and illnesses, cancer, all of those things are done by this trauma that we face in our lives. And the CPS thing, for sure, when they take your kids, just on the parent side alone, the fact of your kid being stolen and taken and kidnapped, the trauma that causes you. I mean, I know just as well as I do how awful of a feeling that is, to know that your kid's somewhere and you can't, there's nothing you can do about it, like as much as you want to. I know that this in a dad's sense is definitely very taxing because the dad's supposed to be the protector, the dad's supposed to be the one that makes sure that stuff never happens. But so I want to try to bring the emotion code stuff and the body coding stuff into the trauma for the CPS people and try to start helping all of us fix those things, as well as the children. Like the children are definitely going to need this stuff. Because they need to, I can't imagine what it must be like to be a kid and the trauma that they face when they, from them being taken. It must be terrible.
Yeah,
So,
it so my I was like sorry, my dog is attacking my kids.
yeah,
Um
it's all right.
I was I have hyperthyroid and they found like a solid mass, a solid nodule on my thyroid and they say that it is stress that can make it worse and then like
Mhm.
now like this whole side of my face is like
Yeah,
swollen and I felt like a lump. Like they've been monitoring the mass, but
right.
um, I need to go back and get it looked at. So
Yeah,
I have court
I
on
get
Friday,
awful.
so I'm really
Oh,
nervous.
Jesus Almighty.
Mm,
Yeah, I get wicked when I'm stressed out. I get boils, and they break in. It's caused by stress. It's awful. Like, and when I get, when I went through the CPS thing, it was ridiculous. It was every day. It was just like not the pain of just the broken heart and all of that stuff, but then you have freaking boils on top of it. I know it was all caused from the stress of what it was. Because as a court date would approach or whatever, I'd get worse and worse and worse.
right.
And it was just awful. But what are you doing in court on Friday? You're gonna win, right? That's
So
what's first and foremost. You're gonna
I
win something.
I mean I hope so. We finally
No,
so we
wait a
have
minute.
the
You don't ever say you hope so. You say you know so. Don't say you hope so because you're jipping yourself out. You don't need to put out the
yes,
frequency
I
that
know. So I
that's right.
should, but
No so.
and I hope so. We have a new. I didn't meet her yet. My mom talked to her. We did get the new caseworker, Ashanti. I don't know what her name is, but she has not reached out to me yet. But hopefully with this new, my lawyer has said that he hasn't had any problems with that agency because he's worked with them before, and so I'm hoping with this new agency things will go better and maybe the best thing that can come out of this is since the other agency excused themselves like from the case, that shows that
Right.
they didn't make reasonable efforts like that,
Efforts.
right? And so given that they can't turn my rights and they can't move on
Right.
to with because I have the permanency hearing and then also the adjudicatory hearing for my newborn.
Oh, you haven't had that yet.
No, and she's 10 months
Oh, wow.
old as of the 13th of this month.
Oh, so
So
she hasn't even been adjudicated on yet?
no, because
Send that little girl home. She should be coming
that's
home.
well, you would think so. And the problem is now that she's the one that's with a stranger, and
Yeah.
we were supposed to have visits with her on either Tuesday or Wednesday, and we didn't have a visit this week. So because the
Because of them or
agency,
because of you?
because of them, because the new agency took over. And
Oh, wow.
so it's sad. Like I feel like I'm my firstborn daughter, Kiara, who's with my mom. She was taken at 9 months old, and now Giovanna's already going to be 10 months. She's already 10 months old. She turned 10 months old on the 13th. So it's like I feel like I'm missing. Like those are like really good. Like special parts of like a child's life, and
Absolutely.
that's when they get their security, their bonding, their like their crucial moments. And I feel like I'm missing that in both my daughter's lives. And
Right.
luckily I have that with my son, but to not have that with either
That's
one of my
not even
daughters is
yeah, that's not even the same. I mean, that's just you have it with your son, but it doesn't matter if it's son or daughter or boy or girl or
yeah, I
him
know.
or whatever. I mean, just to not have that. And like I know what it's like to be a father and everything, but I feel so bad for my wife because you women have a different attachment to the children than men do. I mean, men obviously have an attachment with their children, but you guys, I feel like those little things mean a lot more to you guys because you guys are the ones that grew them. You're the one that had them, and like you guys knew about that stuff. So I feel like those things to you guys are so huge, like those little moments in life that like you can't get back, like putting on your shoe, something that a guy might shake his head about and be like, it's not a big deal, it'll be more or whatever. It's so important to the female because that's part of her, like
Right.
that's
And
like
one question I've been thinking about is, so they amended the petition with my newborn. So they took her on December 18th, and then the when we finally got to the temporary custody hearing, March 8th, and they amended the petition like right after that, like after that court hearing, and they, instead of having domestic violence, which was the original reason that they took my other two, they took that off and they put my mental health. And like we didn't really understand why, but doesn't that violate due process? Because now how am I supposed to, like, I would have never known about it if like my lawyer didn't finally say something to me about it, and then like I actually saw it
So-
myself. But
So
I
they
said, what?
took they so explain that to me again, like I'm a third grader. They stopped the on which child was this for, first of all?
So for the newborn, for my
The
newborn.
So the original meaning was that they said that you were on drugs or something like that, right? Something
No, they
asinine.
said that. So initially it was that, well, no, the petition says that, yes, it alleged that prior substance abuse or current,
Right.
because my, which it was an unconfirmed test at the hospital. The
Right.
umbilical cord test came back saying like nothing in it, but I had taken trazodone, and trazodone,
Yeah.
which anybody watching, does cause a false positive on a rapid dipstick test for MDMA. My daughter
Really?
had
MDMA?
a urine test. Nothing came back positive for her. They did an
Right.
umbilical cord test. Nothing came back positive. But they didn't test for trazodone. I tried to get a confirmatory test on the rapid dipstick test. They didn't have my urine anymore. The
Of course
hospital
not.
didn't
Let's do
stop
that right
it.
away.
The hospital they didn't call DCFS for it. But because I had an open case already, with my other two,
Right.
that
they
was
just snapped.
pretty much why they took Giovanna and my youngest, my newborn. And so they put on the original petition mom's history with substance abuse, which was due to the caseworker falsifying, on the stand, saying that I
Yeah.
tested positive for cocaine when I didn't.
Right.
And then they said, let's see, what was the second one? They said that the open case and then the domestic violence in the house.
Okay.
So they got rid of the domestic violence because, so when we had the temporary custody hearing, we were also supposed to have the permanency hearing for my other two, but we didn't get to that. So they had done the permanency review, like the report that they do. And
Right.
it said that, the reasons for the children coming into care, and then the, anything that's been eliminated. And it said that we eliminated the original safety concerns for bringing my kids into care. So based on that, they had to get rid of the domestic violence, which means we eliminated any domestic violence within the household. And mind you, this has been
Right.
3 years now. So they got rid of
Jesus.
that and they put my mental health. And I'm sitting there thinking, why are they saying my mental health? This makes no sense. And in the report, they said, my husband and I both weren't taking our medication because we weren't testing positive for things that we were prescribed, when
Right.
for me, it was, well, I had just had a hysterectomy after I had my daughter.
Right.
And so I was on pain medication, which they told me I could not, my caseworker said I could not take the pain
Right.
medication anymore. But I was also on anxiety medicine, but you can't take anxiety medicine at the same time as pain medicine. Plus it's
Right.
PRN. And so, because I didn't test positive for the anxiety medicine, they said that I wasn't taking my medication, and that my husband, they said that he should have tested positive for, he's on Prozac, and they said that he should have tested positive for something. I'm like, for what?
Right.
So,
Poppy seeds on a muffin. Poppy seeds on a muffin. Watch out, everybody.
yeah, and it's they're just coming up with stuff. So I'm trying to figure out, shouldn't they have had an evidentiary hearing or some type of hearing?
No, of course, they're supposed to have so the breakdown goes, they have this, you have the 72-hour hearing, which is when they start opening up the floodgates for the money. And then it's supposed to be 3 months and then 6 months, and then every 6 months after that, there's supposed to be some sort of a update or review or whatever. Not to mention all the different steps along the way on the internal stuff, like the meetings, the team meetings, and
Right, which we never
all that
have.
type of stuff. Right,
Right.
which you never have. So, but as far as an official order, like, where are they saying? What is that order, and why? And how long has it really stood for? Like, God, Lord, that's
So because
crazy.
we didn't have the adjudicatory hearing yet, and that's supposed to happen within 90 days, and it's been well over. So I was going to file, because I didn't have an attorney at the time, I was going to file a motion to dismiss without prejudice, and then they amended the petition. When they amended the
Mhm.
petition, now that starts over, and you have to wait another 90 days.
So it's like
So,
recontracting with them then.
so I had to wait another 90 days, but then we still didn't have the adjudicatory hearing. So then we were supposed to, but then all of a sudden it got pushed out to like 2 dates in August, and then it got pushed to September 16th. So now we're in the middle of a permanency hearing, and she has the adjudicatory hearing set for the same day, which I doubt we're going to get to. And it's
Yeah.
just something, and then we haven't had a permanency hearing since last October.
Right. So you haven't had anything, but I bet you if we really looked into it, we'll find out that they're getting funded.
Yep, they are.
This would be a good. This would be a good time to have. Yeah, Carrie says disposition hearing for sure,
Yeah,
and
the
Debbie says if
dispositional
they're not
hearing will be
talking.
next.
Um,
I'm just afraid that they
hey
might
everybody.
supersede, they
Oh,
could supersede a TPR at the adjudicatory hearing, and that's
but
my
check this.
biggest fear.
Even though ridiculousness doesn't count in the courts. Um, oh my gosh, I'm just had a wicked brain fart right there. When Carrie just asked, "Did you have a removal hearing?" And that's what I was just thinking of was. Oh man, I
Yeah,
forgot what it
so
was.
we did. It was de novo
Okay.
because we didn't have any attorneys there, but
Mm-hmm.
they should not have been able to take my kids. They basically threatened the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and the hospital would not let my daughter leave. She was discharged from the hospital, my newborn, before I was discharged, because I had
Right.
a
They took
hysterectomy,
her right away.
obviously.
So they didn't even let you get to like feed her or anything. They didn't let her get
Nothing.
any attachment with you.
Mm-mm.
Wow, that's
My
pretty. That's
husband,
pretty wild.
my husband was attached to her though, because I died, obviously. So, he was spending all that time with her. I died three
Yeah.
times. I flatlined, and that's
Oh
why they did
wow.
the emergency hysterectomy, and to save my life, because I lost all the blood in my
Jesus.
body. And so when I
Right.
came out of it, the first thing I see is a DCFS person in the room, and I couldn't talk, and my husband's like not realizing who it was, and like
Right.
he's like letting her take a picture of like the baby, and like the baby's name and stuff, and I'm like
Yeah,
trying to
you're thinking that it's a great moment or something, not what it
and I'm
really
like
is.
trying to say something, but I couldn't talk. It hurt so bad I couldn't even talk. And yeah, but I was just thinking about that. I'm like, they didn't have a court order. There was no imminent risk, because if the hospital was allowing her to go home and discharged her, they didn't see any reason, to hold her. It
What
was
was the reason?
me that was
What was
being
the
held.
reason?
But then
What was?
then the hospital called DCFS, because they had saw that they had been there, and said like not to release until they talked to them, and then they said not to release until somebody comes there. And I said, well, can't you ask them if they could just come and see me once I'm released? They know my address, they can just come to my house. And like they like threatened the social worker that if she released us or released my daughter, that like they would like sue the hospital or whatever. So yeah, and I should have just
Wow.
walked out, but I couldn't move. Like it was a really bad situation for me, and my husband likes to play by the rules. So 2 days after he was born, they took him because they had removed my daughter from her dad's house. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
Brooks' son her thing, the same thing. So I
mhm.
believe Brooks' son was taken from the hospital, I believe.
That's happening a lot.
It's
I
so I
wonder
know
which
what they're doing a
hospital she
lot.
was at.
I don't know. I'm trying to see if they'll come in here. I just asked them if they wanted to join us. Um, it's
Because
been a lot. You're absolutely right. And Carrie says that you could have filed a motion for clarification on the amendment, and I'm almost 99% sure you could have appealed that decision um, too, right? I think that's her saying she's 99% sure. Question, Darren. Yes, maybe.
yeah, on the amended
Um,
petition.
yeah, maybe.
The reason that we didn't was because we thought that it was my husband that they were talking about.
Oh,
And that
okay,
they
yeah.
had just like misstated it because on the permanency report previously it had said that he had a psychiatric evaluation and didn't tell the agency about it. I don't know, just some stupid stuff. But
Yeah.
there is nothing mental health wise like that they can get us on. Like the only thing I'm concerned with is we missed a couple of drops.
Right.
And I mean out of like the 50 that we've done in 3 years. And
Mhm.
so, that's what our attorneys are saying. They're going to go hard on is those missed drops because they count them as positives. They're supposed to be,
Yeah, but they're not
presumptive
supposed to do that.
positives.
I actually got some. I got some good stuff today. I'm seeing if we're gonna get. I asked. Oh, Herbert's here. Herbert's in the
Mm.
house. All right. I got some good stuff on that stuff. Hold on a second. Let me get that out for you. Um, let's see here. Herbert, you're in the house. I guess Herbert's not here.
Yes, I'm here. I'm listening. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, give him some water.
I'm listening to everything she said.
Yes,
Hey,
he's filling up
Herbert.
your water jug.
I have a question for you about the trazodone.
Yes.
The trazodone was given to you by a doctor, right?
Yes. It was a prescription that I had.
Good. Didn't you tell them and show them your bottle of trazodone?
The hospital knew, my doctors knew. That's why they did not make a big
No.
deal about it, but not
Okay.
DCFS. They never met with me. The CPS investigator never met with me, never asked me questions, I never even saw her.
So where did the trazodone issue come up?
In your stomach.
That was brought up at the shelter care hearing. And I even
Well,
said
I'm
I would hire
confused
an
because it's a
expert witness.
prescription. It's a prescription drug given to you by your doctor. It can't be confused with any other drug when it's put in testing.
Right. But, then I have to have somebody prove. I mean, you can look it up, even on like web and like there's so many like studies on it that are actually like publicized that are actual like legitimate sources that show that on especially the type of rapid dipstick test that they did on me, that trazodone will cause, and it says right on there that it's an unconfirmed test not to be used in any legal proceeding, blah blah blah. But I found out, my husband's the one that reminded me that I had taken trazodone like the night before. Then I went
Yeah.
in to the hospital, and because trazodone, I don't take it every single day. It's something I take like when I couldn't sleep or
You
whatnot.
can take trazodone every single day because it's
Right,
been prescribed to you by a doctor.
right,
Well, she can take it as
and
many times as it's been prescribed to her. But yes.
She can take
right,
trazodone as often as she wants to because it's been prescribed to her by a doctor.
right.
Right.
And I think so. The doctors knew that that's what caused the false positive, but they also knew that they were testing my daughter. My daughter had no withdrawal symptoms at all of anything because they did look for that. And they did a comprehensive umbilical cord test. And I mean like a variant, like comprehensive one. And like it was all clean. But one thing that they didn't do was do a confirmation test or test me for trazodone. And so, in order for me to prove this, they won't take my word. And the only way I can prove it is to get an expert witness, like, to come in and explain this because to me, my word means nothing.
They have tests that they can show for everything.
Hmm.
And
The
they
umbilical
can
cord
know it's
test.
trazodone, they know it's this, they know it's that, and that's how they do the test. So I don't understand the false positive part.
Well, it was a rapid dipstick. It wasn't like, I don't know.
Those come up. So yeah, it's like this one right here. I have one right here. And here's the thing about those. Those don't actually test for the drugs. Those test for the pH balance in your urine. The rapid test anyway. And it only tests for a certain amount of. I had one right here. Fuck. Was here. No, it's not. Everybody else needs it before me. Oh, here we go. Right here. So yeah, these here is like one of these, right? This one here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So these ones here only test for the pH balance, and then that's what gives you the drug that it comes up as.
Well, who did the testing? Was it test at the hospital professionally by a doctor's office?
Well, it was when I went into the hospital. My daughter actually went into the hospital early.
Okay. So when you do the test in the hospital, they're not using no dipsticks.
Oh no, they did a
strip.
dipstick. It was because it was so I went in because I wasn't feeling my daughter, and I had just had a miscarriage with my son Giovanni a year before that at 27 weeks pregnant. Well, I had to deliver him, not like a miscarriage, but I delivered him a stillbirth. And so right before you go, and they're supposed to get your consent to do any type of drug testing on you, at least in Illinois, I know that. And I didn't know that they were doing a drug test, but like I didn't care. I didn't have anything to hide. But then my husband heard like that, like he's like, oh, somebody just tested positive for ecstasy, this and that. And I'm like, dude, I just did my urine test. That's me. Go get the doctor.
Right.
So he went and got the
See,
doctor, and the doctor said,
what I'm confused about. Here's what I'm confused about. I'm confused because in a hospital they don't do dipstick tests.
yes,
They
did.
take
Sure they do. Sure they do.
Yeah, they do.
They take the specimen and they send it to their lab.
They did that. That's an umbilical cord
If they have
test.
time.
But that's not the dipstick. That's a lab doing a test.
Right, the
No, but
umbilical
The
it's
cord
in
lab
the
will do
house.
the test. It's not.
Not
Huh?
all hospitals. Not all hospitals have a lab right in there that they test urine. Most of them send it out to like LabCorp and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right in
Yeah. And when
Right,
they
but
send it out to LabCorp and all that stuff, then they get the results.
right,
But if they're trying to see right then,
but because
the
they were
baby is
doing an
gone.
umbilical cord test, they didn't do that.
Right.
And because I had the doctors come into the room, and like, because I asked them, I was questioning them. I'm like, did I just test positive for MDMA? And they're like, oh, no.
That's
That was just
weird
because of your
anyway.
medication. So they knew, because I guess when I look back in my records, I had tested positive for MDMA like one other time when I was at the doctor's office during my prenatal visits. They never said anything to me about it then. So they knew that it was because of my medication. But they also knew they were doing an umbilical cord test. And had I done ecstasy or any other drug,
Right.
like it would have been in my umbilical cord test. But the judge said, I don't care what was in the baby's blood. I want to know what was in your blood. I'm like, ma'am, that is my blood. Do you not know how an umbilical cord test works?
Right.
Like, and obviously she doesn't. And like, I called the lab and everything, and they said, they're like they were confused because I'm like trying to find my piss test, and I'm like, you guys need to find that because my daughter's taken, and like
Right.
I thought once the umbilical cord test came back that everything would be okay, but it wasn't. They're still getting you with it. And they're saying like I'm in denial and like I'm trying to fight it, and that I'm saying that
No,
like I
it's
didn't
not
do
you.
MDMA. But they never
Now,
sent
did
me
you
for
go
a
get it?
substance abuse evaluation.
Did you go to get another? Did you go get another test somewhere else by chance to validate or to invalidate their test?
Well, I had the umbilical cord test done, and then my daughter was tested right after birth.
Right, and all those came back. Everything came back negative, right?
Negative.
Non-existent.
Yeah. My daughter's tested, and then the comprehensive umbilical cord test, where they tested like the platelets, they tested
Yeah.
like, I mean, I've had umbilical cord tests done with all of my kids. And this one was very comprehensive. Like, because I'm prescribed diazepam, they wanted to make sure I was only taking, like, so it didn't show like just benzodiazepines. It showed like diazepam. Like, they did like a comprehensive umbilical cord test, and like, I mean, this one was very comprehensive, and like, it would have shown, if I did MDMA, but
Right.
the judge doesn't take my word for anything. So I told my lawyer, I'm like, I will hire an expert, like,
Mhm.
an expert, that can actually testify to this. And he said that we don't need that. He's like, because it says right on there, it's an unconfirmed test, and that's not supposed to be admitted as evidence. Well, they're
Right.
using it as evidence against me.
Right.
So I don't know. That's one lesson learned. I mean, anybody that's listening, if you guys have kids and if you test positive for something, make sure you find out the results and get another test done, because you don't want to be stuck in this situation. I mean, it's just lesson after lesson learned, and it's like it just keeps going. I never thought this was going to hold on to me forever. Like,
It's just unbelievable. Like, please, just like let me be. Like let you move on with your life.
mm,
Like heal your wounds and get you better. I mean, that's all you can really do right now
right.
is take you. Like just get this fight over with for the kids. But on the same hand, like you have all the postpartum things, and like I know that's hard for the woman's body too when the baby's not there because they were building up the milk, and there's
Mm,
so much that goes on with that situation, so it's hard for you, I would assume, is it to be able to
yes.
focus. Hopefully everything in the household, everybody's decent to you and helps you out with whatever they can, because you definitely probably need it more than most right now.
Yeah, and it was hard. My son, we thought that my daughter was going to go to my mom, because my mom has my other two, and that's what the caseworker had said originally. And then,
Right.
we got sent another caseworker, and so my son was like so excited that he's going to have baby Gia come and live with him and Grammy. And then all of a sudden they decided not to move her with my mom for
Oh
reasons we
my
still don't
gosh.
know. And
Wow.
my mom's like, so who's going to tell your son that baby? Because they went and got a crib, they went and got made a room for her. And like, he was so excited. And my mom's like, so which one of you or your husband, who's going to say that, to your son and break your son's heart that baby Gia is not coming home, like, to be
Oh,
with him? And now he gets to see her maybe once a week. She's with a
that's
stranger.
not enough.
And
That's not enough for siblings. Like that's not enough. And there's so many studies that are coming out that are talking about how they're how they're making it so difficult for siblings to be together when it's supposed to be like
yes,
that's one of like the unwritten, no, it is a written rule, that not unwritten rule, that's one of the written rules, you know what I mean, for this stuff to go on, because you can't just like wipe out someone's lineage, you can't do it.
right.
I mean, I know what they're trying to do, but and they're doing a damn fine job at it under the speculation that they're doing the right thing for people.
I was trying to find, I think there's a federal law, something that they just put in federally, because now they're trying to keep like families first, and like keep kids with like family members if there is family members. And my mom's a licensed foster parent, remember?
Yeah.
And she can have up to 6 kids. So I think there is something, and I need to find it, where it says like that they are supposed to put these children, they're supposed to actually look for family members, and if there's a family member that's willing and able and ready, even if they're not licensed, they're
Right.
supposed to allow them to go with that relative, because it
Correct.
there's like studies that show how much like less like harm, less trauma, like even in the future, and like these kids' future, like that it causes to them compared to going in a traditional foster home. And I mean, you lose your heritage, your culture, like your ties to everybody in your family, and it's sad, and but I know there's something that, as much as I'm not a Biden Harris, sorry, fan, but
Human purposes only.
um, I mean, yeah, that's just my own opinion. I don't judge, But I do believe that they did put something out there, and they are trying. There was something that they pushed with family first. I know they're trying to push this family first, like, whole thing, and I was
Right.
trying
To
to
try to
find
get
it
rid of,
today.
right. I think they're trying to get rid of the captive part of it. I believe is what's going on in there. But the thing is that's the stuff that incentivizes. Um, it's the America's Safe Family Act. Which one is it that they're messing with right now? The America's Family. Jesus Christ, I
Yeah,
get them up. Yeah.
yeah, the
Okay.
one that Clinton did, and then Obama made it even more money
That's it,
to.
I believe. Huh?
But then they have the families first, and so
Well, Families First is
that's
that group with Connie. Isn't that Connie's group?
no. So that's well, they're supposed to be the family first act that everybody is supposed to be following. So there's like it was actually on like the White House's webpage that like they're like pushing for like families first, and like no, it's actually like it's federal. But Connie, something that we're doing is the Kind Act, the Kinship in Demand.
Kinship in Demand.
And I actually have that, Darren. I have it printed. I have all of that information. I was going through that yesterday because I'm waiting to see when if they're gonna make it something that's you know
Right.
that that's goes like federal and not just in my state. Where's my other
Well, I
copy?
mean, what is your choices? If you go federal, I mean, that's going to be. I know what I know. Everybody's leaning towards the federal thing, but also, I mean, that's going to put a huge gap in time between now and when you actually get heard in the federal circuit, right? Like, so it's
Oh
not going
yeah,
to
of
be. But then
course.
you haven't even been adjudicated now, so who the hell knows? Like what the time period would be.
Well, right, and but the kind
Yeah, like
I'm not sure. So for us, the Kind Act is I believe it's HB 4781, House Bill 4781. That's what it's under. I don't know. You could look it up if you want.
mm, yes, the Americans. All right, I'm trying to look right here. Hold on. All right. Let's see.
And it says a lot. Like it's like um I could send like I could put a link maybe to all of this if anybody's interested,
All right, we got everybody coming
but
in
what
here
it
today. We
does
got
is it gives what it helps with is the incentives that we're talking about. It gives those incentives to these caseworkers to put kids with family just as much as with a traditional parent.
yeah, that's. I mean, those things are
So
needed.
that will so then that way everybody we're not so that way it makes them not where they don't care as much to put them
Not
with
as
the
much
traditional
investors.
foster parent.
Right. Well, you're supposed to, according to Vincent Davis, you're supposed to make a list of 25 people at minimum
Mm,
that you should give to your caseworker when they take your kids. And that could be for any placement in the world. It doesn't have to be for down the street. It doesn't have to be in the same state. It doesn't have to be in
yeah,
the same zip code. It could be anywhere in the world.
yeah, but they
What
don't
I'm
do
wondering,
that.
okay, this is what I'm wondering. Okay, so if I had that, okay, I had a son that went there and was there for the first hearing, okay, and he was 25 at that time, and my kids were 10
Yep.
and 12. He was there the
Yep.
next day, and they actually ended up, we found out later they lied about the thing. He said he did everything he could to want to get his brother and sister, but they said that he couldn't have them because he rented. And that didn't really make sense. And then
Because he
I don't
rented.
know. It's very strange because this guy is still stalking like me and my husband. It's very weird because he was a supervisor for the Partnership of Strong Families, at the time. So that's whatever CPS is CPS. That's what it is. But
Where are you located?
well, this all happened in Florida. I don't even
Okay.
live in Florida anymore, but they keep
Right.
wanting to pull
Brenda's
me back
taking the
in, as
whole
they
East
say.
Coast. The whole East Coast
Hmm?
belongs to Brenda and her story. Pretty
What?
much.
What?
Said the whole East Coast belongs to Brenda and her story.
Oh boy.
She started up here in Maine, and then it comes all the way down to Florida, to Louisiana, or I mean, you have literally been. Yeah, I mean, how many states have you been through with this?
Well, just with the children, it's pretty much Florida. Florida was the whole child thing, but I would say it started in Maine because that was the first time we found out that we were targeted, and when we were finding out this and realized that when we reviewed a tape when the law enforcement had pulled my whole family over, and then we figured we found out that they had this whatever you want to call it. It's called, we found out later, is a fusion exchange bulletin, but it pretty much makes officers believe you're a terrorist. That's what it, even
Yeah.
though, my husband's family fought the duration of the Revolutionary War, you can't get more American than we are, and never committed a crime in our life. And then all of a sudden, we turn 50, and my husband tries to run for sheriff, and my kids are taken, and they're throwing all us in jail every time I turn around. So none of it really makes sense at all. At
No,
all.
no.
Especially seeing the fact that me and my husband been together for over 40 some years. Our three
Right.
oldest children are all doctors. So I'd say
Yeah.
I'm pretty much the
You guys
best
did an
parent
awful job
in
raising them,
the state.
obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
like I say, what does somebody do now? Now that the fact, okay, is somebody going to look at it? Okay, we had a kinship rights that were violated, right? Because our family was there, available, and they would not release the children. It
Right.
doesn't make
Yeah.
And
sense.
then the error of the department um, is supposed to supersede that of the flaws in the parents. Um, so you have that to take into play too, because they definitely screwed up in your case, like no doubt about it. Like what they've done to your kids and how they've done it, and like in hiding them and taking them across borders and so on. Like so, how are they even? I still don't understand how. I know that your son is just about aged out, or he is aged out now.
He already is. He'll actually be 19 on Halloween. So, yeah. He'll be 19. And then
And so,
Sage, she turned 21. She's the
right,
one with
yeah,
autism. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Wow, that's crazy, man. I'm so sorry that you're going through all this
Yeah.
stuff. And like, how long have you been going through this?
It's over 8 years now because it was April 2016 when the kids were taken, and then by January, like the beginning of January 2018, they terminated our rights. It was really weird because we went to court for the TPR hearings 2 days, and it was right before Christmas. And the judge said, well, I want everybody to put in their petition or whatever, our coin appointed attorneys and everybody put in their petitions on why, we should get our kids back, whatever. And then so we had to go through the whole Christmas holidays and trying to figure out, well, okay, well, we're going through this. Why can't I see the kids, or why can't their brother come see them at a visit? And during that waiting period, we had no contact with the kids whatsoever, no contact at all. And I didn't even know that was going to be the last time I ever seen my kids. When I went to, like, the last time I saw Christopher was it was December 14th of 2017. That's the last time. And then of course in 2019 I tried to rescue Sage out of the abusive foster placement in Charlotte County, Florida. And I had the pictures. I've got her statement talking about the abuse, and nobody's. All they want to do is like, because that's what I'm wondering. You know, whose responsibility is it? We figured, well, the FBI, right? Since law enforcement was involved with the destruction of my family, so then what did it go to Florida Department of Law Enforcement, which also was ended up being part of the problem because on the bottom of that Fusion Exchange bulletin, it says, you know, FDLE and has somebody's name there, has somebody's name from the sheriff department, but Americans aren't supposed to see this. This is supposed to be their little secret because what it says is that saying that we're anti-law enforcement and anti-government, but any dealings with these individuals, don't lose your posture with them and always be more than one officer. So if we're getting pulled over, say I'm speeding down the road, and an officer looks at this and he's going to freak out because all of a sudden, oh, these people are threats to law enforcement. And that's where it gets into, you hear so much nowadays about sovereign citizens. And then law enforcement seems to be switching it around to say, okay, there's different types of sovereign citizens. Sovereign and citizen doesn't even go together. So this is what I don't understand. I never knew what it meant, but that's what I know this CPS supervisor was calling me and my husband, and I wouldn't have known that unless I tried to rescue my daughter, see my discoveries, and when me and her went missing for a couple of days, in the discoveries, this guy is defaming my character to the law enforcement. But it was like, what is going on? Because they want to say what we believe, okay? They think they know what we believe, but nobody asked us what our beliefs were. And it's not a character that you're portraying on a YouTube film. It's not that. That's a character. There's a difference between reality and fantasy, okay? You know what I mean? And they can't seem to decipher that. So
No, it's tough. It really is tough, and you know, at that age too, where they're like, you know, so I think your best bet is just go that federal route, get some monetary damages, so that you guys can hopefully your son will turn around and you know mosey his way back, you know, to you, and then hopefully you
yeah.
know, like, or
Because
daughter,
it's something that's so scary when you see this P. Diddy thing is like, okay, well, my kids were 10 and 12 when they're taken. That's a pretty ripe age for some of these creeps out there, you know, that want to traffic children and say, oh, no, they're prostitutes. No, they're not. They were taken from, you know, people's families and put into foster homes, and then they end up where they are, on the streets, drug addicts, whatever. This is what they're producing. Okay, this is why the country has gone to hell, because they're taking our kids and they're making prostitutes and drug addicts out of them. That's pretty much what's happening. Not doctors. They're not making doctors like we were.
Right. Hey, Chris, Carrie wants to know what your lawyer thinks about all this.
So with the MDMA stuff, he says that he says that it shouldn't be admissible. The MDMA shouldn't be admissible because it literally says, like, in bold right on the test, like, because it's like the hospital records, and it says, like, in bold, caution, not to be used for any purposes other than what the test was given, so not to be used for legal purposes, whatnot. And because it's unconfirmed, he said that shouldn't be admissible in court. So he doesn't think that that's going to be a problem. I disagree because I know that that's what they're pushing. Now, it didn't help the fact that we missed a few drops, you know, out of the 50 that we've done plus. But, you know, it came down to having a visit with my daughter because they kept changing the visit dates, or going to a drop and working. You know, we still have to work. I've paid like so much money for attorneys. Like, I don't know how they expect you. The drop place was like only open like a few hours. Like, it was like not very.
What do you mean a drop space? What is that?
A drug drop place. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And they were making us do drug drops every week.
What? That's crazy.
And they've never had any evidence of either of us. I mean, I had to go to rehab for the caseworker falsifying, like testifying under oath, saying that I tested positive for cocaine when I didn't. And then I got the labs and then that said that I never tested positive. She did that because, like, she had brought my kids to me at 1 and 3 years old without a car seat. And then I did a background check on her. You know, I just looked up public information and found out that she didn't even have a driver's license. And she had a DUI and driving children under 8 not properly restrained, and she was afraid that I was going to use that against her, even though I wasn't. But so she just drops a bomb in court. So yeah, it all turned south, and that was in 2022. So everything went south after that, unfortunately. But
That's what I was thinking, how they
so
were
my lawyer,
transporting
he
my
thinks
kids
that
back and forth because they put my son in Lake City, my daughter in Charlotte County, and they're like 6.5 apart, hours away. And then when they'd come for a visit to see me, that means this lady had to get up really early in the morning to go all the way to get my daughter. And by the time she get, and come all the way back, that's
Right.
what. And then they're smoking in the car. Me and my husband don't smoke cigarettes. They're giving them pop to drink, and all this crap that we wouldn't be putting in our kids. It's ridiculous.
oh yeah, yeah, I understand that feeling. Well, yeah, that's like my husband. He said to, I mean, not that like we're saying anything about marijuana, but, he made a statement because every time like they would pick up my kids, like, to do a drop off or whatever for a visit, he's like, what is that, an air freshener? Like a weed air freshener? Because like it like
Oh,
reeks of weed in the car. And
no
she's like,
way.
like, well, he said, he's like, Jesus. He's like, and then she's like, oh, it's just an air freshener. And he's like, they make weed air fresheners now? I was like, gee, I was like, really? I
Ironic.
want one.
Yeah, that's really ironic because the reason they took my kids because of a little bit of marijuana. That's why my kids were taken because
Yeah.
of weed. And
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
they used it
Um,
against me too. I took pure Kana CBD gummies instead of painkillers. And it had a little bit of THC in it and I didn't know, but it worked better for my cancer than anything. And
Exactly.
they said that I couldn't, even though I have my medical card, they said that
Yeah.
I couldn't,
Really.
yeah, they said that I had to take the painkillers. I'm like, it doesn't work. It makes me sick. Like, this works much better. And she's like, no, you have to take the painkiller. So,
Wow.
and then when had a hysterectomy, I was not even 3 weeks post hysterectomy, and they said that I couldn't take the pain medicine. And it was an emergency hysterectomy. I had like a tube still hanging out of me, and they said I could not take the pain medication anymore. Um, if I wanted my kids back. So I stopped.
That's why,
And
yeah, that's why they didn't like my husband's films on YouTube. So my husband's like, okay, I'm not gonna make any more films and post them. I'm not gonna
yeah,
do
I
that.
don't, honestly, I don't care anymore.
We
What
still
else can
didn't
they
get
do
our
to
kids
me?
back. We still didn't get our kids back. So
Yeah, exactly. They could threaten me all they want. Like, I mean, I'm
yeah,
just waiting for court. They're probably going to throw something at me, but I don't care because, I'm not. What else can they possibly do to me at this point? You've already damaged my kids. That's the worst thing that you could do to me is hurt my kids. Like, anything you do to me, like, I don't do whatever you want, but you're hurting my kids, and the most you could do now is my mom would have my kids, and then the one I'm concerned with is my newborn because she's not with family. But we'll see. Sometimes things turn around, and I'm
yes,
not going to stop
exactly.
fighting. And I think
No,
it takes somebody in every
Not
state.
sometimes. Sometimes it's going to be at will. You got to all start on this show. We need to all start being more positive about this and start
And
manifesting the
that's
truth
just
into
right,
reality.
Darren. I think it takes one person in every state, at least,
Yeah.
to take it to the top and to keep fighting and to not stop and
Yep.
for them to finally make a difference. And if I have to be that one person, I will be that one person. So
Yep.
I won't stop. I will continue fighting. And I believe that they know that.
yeah,
And,
I do for
whether
sure.
And I know once the Supreme Court, hears it, like they do follow the Constitution. They do follow, your rights. They
Right.
do, like, as much as these lower courts don't, like, well, you know what? Then I will go above you. And, it's just a matter of getting there. And if I have to, I will. And I almost hope that I do, because then hopefully it'll make a difference for everybody in my state.
Yeah.
And, you know,
What's really funny is the reason my husband didn't do films for a long time was because of this. I mean, he was literally destroyed for all these years, and then he finally like brought up the ability to make a film, and he wanted to bring in his own mind or whatever has been destroyed already, that
Mhm.
to bring attention. And how are you going to get attention? Because what do people like to see? They don't like to see us coming on here whining about all our problems, right? People like to see certain things. So what's going to attract them? And that's what you got to do. You gotta play to say, okay, well, he's doing it in a strange way, but it is bringing attention. But the attention
right.
he got put him in jail, but it's like unbelievable. But that's what I'm hoping is something can come out of this to say, look at what has happened to our family, and if it just goes to a jury, well, I think that would be the best thing that could happen, is to
Mhm.
have some people on the jury that really want to keep families together. It's unbelievable. It boggles my mind. I just it will literally drive you crazy if you let it. That's why it's very important to always keep faith. I don't know if you believe in God, but I continue to pray, and I see changes in my life by putting my trust in God. And
Well, you see the frequency out there too, Brenda. You're getting your vibe, that frequency, and I'm telling you, that stuff is real, people. And then
Yeah.
God
And,
obviously is God, the supreme being. I mean, He
Mhm.
listens, he does listen.
and,
But
and
guys,
the
we
best thing
are.
I think the best thing that like Darren does, and like why I like Darren show is, like, yeah, we tell our stories. He has people on so that we can educate people with like our stories, what we did wrong, and they can learn from them. But we're also trying to bring what we've learned and what we can do and how to, you know, change it and make it better, and what we can all come together with our, our knowledge, and like figure out
Yeah,
how to execute and how
I would
to
love that.
Funny because
go after it
there's
different.
been several different people talking about like these forms to turn in and things like this. And I know who was the other guy the other day that you had on there? I can't remember his name.
Gunner,
Right up. I'm
Gunner,
sorry.
Gunner.
Yes. And when I went to where he said, I couldn't just like click on it and it would take me to that. It would just like, am I gonna
Oh,
have to
I
write
did.
that? Is if
I'll hook
somebody
you up with it.
could you email me it or something?
Yeah,
Somebody.
yeah, yeah. I can do that for you,
Yeah.
Um,
Brenda.
you got my email, Darren, right?
Yes, ma'am. Sure
Or
do.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I got
okay.
it. I'll do
That
that to
would
you
be
right after
great
the
because
show.
I'm so messed up in the head at this point. I'm telling you, I need it thrown right in my face, and
Yeah,
somebody constantly cheering me on to get it done, because it's just like you know you lose
yeah.
that motivation, and that's why
You
I
do.
don't like to see that happening.
Yes,
Yeah.
you will.
You got to
But
keep it. And
all
that's what
right,
these
guys.
shows are good for.
Yes, they are, and let's keep
And
on
we
doing
need
it.
to
We'll
keep
keep
that
going together.
motivation.
That's right.
Right,
We're gonna
right.
build it. We are the motivation. Herbert,
Yes.
you some last words, bud?
Yeah, our last words are learn all you can about the system, try to avoid the system, and don't get yourself involved with anything that will cause your children to be taken away from you.
Yeah,
That was short and sweet, eh?
yeah. Oof. Brenda, how about you?
Like I say, again, I just can't stress enough. Keep your body in shape. Exercise, eat right, and keep your mind active, because this is important in these times, to keep healthy and keep your mind strong.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You are right. Chris, how about you?
So mine would be learn your rights and especially your constitutional rights, the Bill of Rights, and Tiffany. I don't know if you guys watched The Punisher and Tiff, but I know there's a book that she recommended for me that I do read. It explains the Bill of Rights and like it actually gives a
Yeah,
good
behind the Bill of
explanation
Rights.
of like
Isn't
how to
it behind the
understand it.
Bill of Rights? Is it behind the Bill
Yes.
of Rights? Yeah.
That's a great book. And like
Is it?
I've read that. I got that when she first recommended it a while ago. And,
Yeah.
watch, you know, and those are rights that we all should know. Those are rights we've always had. And we need to stick to that and stop letting people over police us and over govern us. Those are our rights. Stick to them.
Yeah. You're damn right. They were put in place for us to be a restraining order from the government, so
Yeah.
use those things.
Let us be the heroes for our kids.
Fifth Amendment, Tammy, that's right. And I'm going to say this. Look, we need to stop saying, we hope, we do this, we do that. We need to change our whole tone around so we can get our frequencies up there and right so that we start manifesting some victories here. And I'll go into this stuff a little bit more later this week. But stop saying I hope, because you need to start saying I know it's going to happen. You need to get a positive outlook, guys, because we are used to living in this negativity, and it's just going to stay with us. The more and more we keep saying negative stuff, the more and more it's going to keep happening. So we need
Speak it into
to
existence.
eliminate that from our lives, guys. So as for that, I'm the CPS Punisher, and we are all out of here. We'll catch you tomorrow night.
Are we doing an after show, Darren? Yes or no?
Sure.
All right.
I'll send it out.
Getting crazy, baby, chill. Don't medicate, just meditate. You waking up now, well, baby, you hella late. Educate, look at what's going on, let it resonate, accelerate. Find your inner hunger like you never ate. Agenda is to push the hate, separate and segregate. Don't celebrate quite yet, the storm is coming, Q, for heaven's sake. Violence that they demonstrate, instigate and penetrate. The values of our country and our God is what they desecrate. My fighters ain't no featherweight, pulling out the seams of the fabric that they fabricate. They feed us lies, manipulate, intimidate through fear and force, forcing us to sit and wait till we come together, congregate, and then we liberate. Praying that you give me strength to find some love amongst the hate. Marching on these streets of blood till I see the golden gates. Troubadour and troubled souls, one of God's servants. Blades out, cut the grass till we see the serpents.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
I know the truth is hard to swallow, just digest it. Suspected something's going on, but chose to just neglect it. Deflected by some breaking news, oh, we just accept it. Expected just to fall in line and follow their perspective. Don't question their objective, but I got a lot of questions. How these kids molested, but nobody's been arrested. Read it in the testament, these children are protected. So I'm fighting all these terrorists, both foreign and domestic. Refuse to be directed, blind, not a sheep. Only kneel to my God, so I'm dying on my feet. Silence when we speak, but there's violence in the street. I've been rolling with the punches, I can't take it on the cheek. Drink from a glass half full, I'm optimistic. People are sadistic, so vicious and malicious. Praying for assistance to overcome opposition, or I'm gonna start resisting and then I'll pray for forgiveness.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you.